Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to answer a question that I just got from a subscriber the other day. And I love this sort of question because this is the sort of question that really gets down to the meat and potatoes of training. There's a lot of science behind why this is, but I'm going to break this down for you guys into layman's terms that people can easily understand. The reason that most people who know what they're talking about will tell you not to hit muscle failure on really heavy weights, and by heavy weights we're talking 85% or higher of your max, basically anything that's a 5-rep max or heavier. But we'll tell you that hitting failure on higher reps is beneficial. So what in the world is the difference? Well, the difference is that when you reach muscle failure with a fairly light weight, meaning things that are 80% or less of your 1-rep max, things that you can do 8 reps or more with usually, what ends up happening when you get to muscle failure, or you get very close to muscle failure, you tend to build up a lot of metabolites. You don't necessarily get those upper threshold muscle fibers being hit and the neural efficiency gains early on in it that you get from the low reps with the really heavy weight, but you get something else. You get metabolic fatigue. You get metabolites that build up in your muscle tissue as a result of doing that are correlated with muscle growth. They can stimulate hypertrophy because you've exhausted the muscle to the point to where basically it puts it in a panic mode and your body starts saying, hey, if I don't make these muscle fibers thicker, all this total amount of stress and work being put on them is going to tear them, it's going to injure me. We're going to rip this muscle and I'm going to get hurt. So your brain will start forcing your body to grow faster. And when you're doing that, hitting failure with fairly light weights, you don't get tremendously exhausted in terms of recovery. You can recover from that fairly quickly because, again, you just have to clear out the metabolites and other things. You can recover from that within a few days usually. However, when you're using really heavy weights, when you hit muscle failure, your peripheral nervous system gets beat up. You don't get the same amount of total metabolic fatigue in the muscle tissue that puts it in panic. What ends up happening is that when you get close to failure or you fail on a really heavy weight, it's usually your peripheral nervous system giving out. Your body simply can't recruit enough motor units to continue to move that heavy weight. And so you just fail and exhaust. And what ends up happening is that your peripheral nervous system stays exhausted longer. You recover more slowly than you would through failure through metabolic fatigue, through your body just running out of basically the fuel source in the muscle tissue to continue to lift the weight, instead of just your nervous system giving out. And when the nervous system gives out, your peripheral nervous system takes longer to recover, so it can impede your ability to train hard again sooner. The other big deal is the higher injury rate, because you're using a heavier weight and the nervous system just gives out. Instead of you just getting really fatigued and things slowing down, the weight tends to just give out and drop. And you're using a weight that is getting close to your 1-rep max, 85% or more, your injury rate is much higher. It's a higher risk of injury from doing that, so you shouldn't be failing heavy lifts. So you get reduced recovery, you get a higher rate of injury, and the big thing, when you do that, you're not reaching muscle failure through metabolic fatigue, you're doing it through the nervous system. You don't get the buildup of all those metabolites in the muscle that is going to be associated with muscle growth, so you're not actually getting the benefits, the actual growth benefits that are going to give you more gains and make you bigger that you get when you reach failure through metabolic fatigue. So it's far less rewards and much higher risk and a much higher payoff. So that's why we say don't hit failure with heavy weights. If you're going to train to muscle failure, you need to do it with lighter weights. And if you want to make the most of your gains when you are using lighter weights for higher reps, you probably need to reach muscle failure or get very close to it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.